Capitol Police Officer Harry Dunn. How are you doing, sir?
I'm well, man. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate the opportunity. And I got to start. I'm from the DMV.
All
I
right.
grew up in Prince George's County. I was
Mhm.
a huge Wizards fan. So I'm a fan of yours, man. And then life after basketball, you've took it to a whole nother level, and I'm a fan. So I appreciate you having me on the opportunity to have this conversation with you. So
Oh wow, I really appreciate that. It's interesting when I reached out to you. You never really know how somebody's going to respond, and
yeah.
you're doing a lot of media now, so I didn't really know if you were going to even respond to me. But you said, "Yeah, I know who you are.
Yeah.
I've been watching the Wizards for my whole life. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd love to sit down with you." I thought that was pretty cool. So you've been watching the Wizards for a while, growing up in County?
This year I ain't really paid. I've been a couple games this year,
Mhm.
but it's a lot going on
I know.
in today's climate where I don't have the opportunity to sit down and talk. Oh, on another note,
Mhm.
Bob Delaney, former
Uh-huh.
NBA referee, I
Uh-huh.
talked to him today,
Oh
and he
yeah.
told me to tell you hello. And this
Okay.
is his quote. He said, "If I was built like Etan, I would never wear a shirt." So
that was the good old days, though. You know what I mean? That was the old days. But yeah,
yeah,
no,
Bob
Bob
Delaney told me
Delaney,
to tell you hello. I spoke with him today. So
that's cool.
yeah.
That's cool. No, that's great. Well, I've been watching you, doing a lot of different media, and talking about, your story and everything that was going on. There's a lot. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
how are you doing with doing all of the media? And because you've been doing a lot.
It's crazy, I was just thinking about when you said I'm doing a lot of media. I'm literally just I'll talk to anybody that want to listen and want to have a conversation and talk. A lot of the right wing networks or whatever have not engaged with me or anything. They've talked about me, but
Right.
I have the line to talk to me, not about me. And they talk about me. They don't really talk to me. But I'll discuss with anybody about my story, because that's all it is. I'm not out here posting a narrative or trying to some hidden agenda. I'm talking about what I went through and that my coworkers went through, and I want the people that was responsible for it held accountable. It's simple as that.
Was that?
So
Definitely, definitely. Well, I appreciate you sitting down on the Rematch, basketballnews.com and Fly TV. And there's a lot. So starting even from the response from the NBA. And the NBA, when everything happened last January 6th, you saw a lot of people responding. A lot more though than some people on some of Fox News channels, and so it was the proper level of disgust, the proper level of being shocked of this isn't who we are supposed to be, and that level of really outrage
yeah,
from a lot of the NBA. Did you see a lot of that? A lot of the comments?
no, not too much about the NBA's response, but it just makes me think I'm glad that they did have a response, because like this wasn't just the Capitol Police or the Congress that was attacked. Like every person in America was affected by this, or could have been potentially affected by this. It was an attack on our nation, democracy, everything that America stands for, our democracy. So everybody should be outraged. And when you said the right wing networks or whatever, Fox specifically, it's so funny. Like they I just happened to think about like the NBA or whatever, the whole famous shut up and dribble thing,
Right,
right?
right.
When anybody speaks out, like LeBron James, when he's able to speak out against something that he felt was wrong. But when and they told him shut up and dribble. But if Kyrie Irving agreed with a stance, and now they're praising Kyrie Irving and not telling him to shut up and dribble.
Right.
And it's just crazy because they just pick people to support whatever narrative they want. And that's why I think it's just, I try to be fact-based. If I'm wrong, then tell me I'm wrong and show me that I'm wrong.
Right.
And then we'll have a discussion about it. But it's literally whatever their agenda that is happened to be pushed, then they'll agree with that person. So they are encouraging and supporting Kyrie Irving, but they didn't tell him to shut up and dribble,
right?
Because they're his agenda at the moment, or it's, I don't want to call it an agenda. I don't
just one topic, just one topic. Yeah,
stance fits their agenda.
Yes,
and you know, I'm sure they would probably reverse if LeBron James said something. Like
Of course.
Fox News was touting Little Kim and Kyrie Irving. Like, who would have thought?
Right.
You know?
Right.
I just think it's hypocritical, and it's all agenda based.
You know,
I don't take much. Put much into it though.
But it's hard not to, because you see, for instance, you know, a lot of NBA players, you know, recently have been speaking out about police brutality, speaking out, leading, you know, marches and rallies. I saw right here, you know, John Wall and Bradley Beal led this big Black Lives Matter rally, you know, right in DC. You saw a lot of all over the place, right?
Yeah.
And then so you saw Fox News respond to that as NBA players should shut up and dribble.
Yeah.
You know they get upset anytime LeBron says anything. But you saw Russell Westbrook, you know, leading marches in LA. You saw all the Ball brothers, all of them participating in protests and things of that nature. Fox News couldn't say more negative things about them. But then you have a situation where, you know, they're saying their stance was always, we back the blue. That's what their stance. We back the blue, no matter what. Back the blue.
That's propaganda.
Matters.
I think that whole thing, that is propaganda. Just like, you know, the Blue Lives Matter and
Blue Lives Matter, right?
And all that stuff. Like,
but this was
okay, my bad. Yeah.
So, but they changed their tone and of their stance when it came to January 6th.
Yeah.
Then it wasn't Blue Lives Matter. Then they weren't saying, oh, protect the police. You know, we always back the police, back the blue. You didn't hear those things anymore.
That's why, like I said, that's why, like, I'll have a conversation with anybody about anything, about whatever, but these facts are undeniable about what happened that day. And they're going to shift and change the topic. And like I said, this isn't exclusive just to Fox. Like, Fox News, there are a lot of individuals, people that just it doesn't fit their narrative. So one, we're not either going to talk about it, we're going to what a lot of people say is whitewash, or we're just going to just act like it didn't even happen at all. And that's what a lot of people are trying to do. January 6th was bad. All right, now let's talk about something else.
Right.
And I'm like, wait a minute, like that's not good enough for me, man.
Yeah.
And like I said, I work with a brave group of men and women, and hell, Metropolitan Police Department, they saved our ass and they helped save the country. And they got their ass whooped. We got our ass whooped. Our coworkers got our ass whooped. And I'm standing up. It's not acceptable. And the people that did it need to be held accountable. And the people who arranged it or supported it or funded it or encouraged it or financed, whatever. Anybody who had any role with the failures of January 6th needs to be held accountable. I don't care what their name is, title, position, party affiliation. It does not matter. If you were wrong, or if you were complicit in the failures of January 6th, you need to be held accountable. And that's what it comes down to. So,
you know, after January 6th last year, Steve Kerr, you know, coach for the Golden State Warriors, he said during the post-game interviews, he said, a legitimate election is suddenly questioned by millions of people, including many of the people who are leading our country in government, because we've decided to, over the last few years, allow lies to be told. So this is who we are. You reap what you sow. That's a strong quote, but I didn't disagree with anything that he said. I mean, to your point just now, you know, a lot of the media kind of just kept repeating this lie that, you know, the election has been stolen from you. We have to do something. We have to charge up the troops. It was very much in plain sight. This wasn't like a surprise. They were drumming this whole thing up. And to your point, people are not being held accountable. That should be.
Well, yeah, and I think everybody in America, that's why I say we have a responsibility too. Like, everybody has their role when it comes to preserving democracy, and that can be educating people about these lies that are told, or debunking them, calling them out, registering to vote, registering somebody you know to vote. Like, everybody has a role in democracy. Everybody's saying, you know, Capitol Police were not everybody. The people who agree that January 6th was bad, They say that we're heroes and everything. Thank you. I appreciate the roses, but we're just doing our job. Everybody has a job to do, and people that voted in the special of January 5th, that election that sent two new senators to the Senate on January 5th. Like that's a big deal. Like that's part of that's democracy. That's their role. So everybody has a role in it. So and I think, like I just said, a role that some people play is debunking and calling out a lie when you see it. Like, I try to be fact-based. Like, my opinion is just that. It's an opinion, and that's what it is. But I try to operate just on facts, and there have been no facts that state that there was substantial enough fraud to change the outcome of the election in any party's favor. I don't got nothing more than that. Like, just facts, and to me, that's where the conversation ends. Because anything outside of what I just said is now just an opinion.
Right.
So I'm not going back and forth with somebody about their opinion. We could talk facts. Like we debating basketball. Like, pull up the stats.
Right.
Pull up the stats. All right. The tape don't lie, and that's it. Like,
You're right. You're right. I my new book is called Police Brutality and White Supremacy: The Fight Against American Traditions. And I interviewed Jake Tapper, CNN's Jake Tapper. And this is what he said. And I don't, know exactly what you can comment on, but this was what he said in reference to people kind of helping to fan the flames of everything that happened. He said, President Trump incited a terrorist attack on the Capitol, which is just factual. And it didn't just start that day. It was a month-long campaign. And then he said, this was the result of the most powerful person in the world who had been rejected by voters in a democratic election, telling a very big lie. And this lie was supported by his supporters in Congress and in the media. And so that for Jake Tapper of CNN to say that, usually media people don't call out each other. You know what I mean? You call out, sometimes it's like, the left calls out the right calls out the left, but he's talking about anybody that fits into that description of you allowing a lie to kind of go unchecked. And I had to give him his props for that. You know what I mean? For him,
I agree with that. I agree with I'll say specifically what I agree with. That anytime, like going back to what I said, we have a duty. If you see something, say something, right? If something's wrong, you speak out on it, period. Right. I don't care. I don't care what party it is. I don't care, like I said, what party, title, rank, none of that stuff, man. If something's wrong, you speak out against it. And just like your book title, you said white supremacy and police brutality. Forgive me for not remembering the exact title. But all right, police brutality. Let's take that to two things. Police brutality. Why should anybody be criticized for wanting to end police brutality?
Right.
Can everybody agree? And I'm not talking about how often, frequent, whatever. If police brutality happens, can everybody admit that that's wrong? That's wrong.
Yeah.
Period. No other words. Police brutality is wrong. So anybody that calls it out should be supported by everybody, because shouldn't everybody agree that police brutality is wrong?
But what happens is, especially these are tricks of the right and tricks of Fox News. You have a LeBron James, you have a Jaylen Brown, you have a Russell Westbrook, Carmelo Anthony, Dwayne Wade, who say that this particular case is wrong with police brutality, and they start bringing attention to it. And then you have people say, "Oh, well, they're anti-police." They said, "No, ain't nobody said that about anti-police. We said that police brutality is wrong." And this particular case that we're talking about, where this policeman shot this unarmed black man, and we're saying that it is wrong, that does not equal anti-police. And
Correct.
That's
I think a lot, but
that's the problem.
I'm not gonna say I play both sides. I listen to both sides when you hear people. I would never say that just because somebody wants accountability for bad police actions, I wouldn't say that's anti-police.
Right.
No, you're anti-bad police. Period. Like, I think that's a fair statement. But also in a lot of these cases, and not just with some of the gentlemen you named, but with any media, I really hate that term. Hey, let's sit back and wait for all the facts to come out. I get it. Trust me, I get it. But it's crucial too. Like that's been my approach with this whole January 6th committee. Sure, I have my opinion about what happened. I do. Everybody does, right? But my opinion is just my opinion. When these facts come out, that's why everybody should be in favor of this investigation and finding out the truth about what happened. Because, like I said, I don't argue with people's opinions, because somebody's opinions is their experience, it's what they see, it's their perception. Some perception is reality. A lot of these people, what they live. If they some people see a police officer and they scared out their mind because all they've known their whole life is police brutality. So I don't discredit that at all. I'm not going to get offended because somebody sees me as a police officer and be like, dang, yo, I don't even like this dude. Like, I'm not getting mad. That's your reality. But I understand. Let me attempt to show you that I'm different, maybe. I don't know. Or not different. I don't fit that narrative.
Right.
Let me attempt to. But to sit out there and call somebody out for having that viewpoint, that's their life, man.
Yeah.
So I would never discredit that. But it's very important. Like I said, you got to stop talking about like opinions and stuff when it comes to like making huge proclamations like that and get to the facts about things. Because like I said, there's been a lot of high profile situations that didn't, like, when all the facts did come out, you'd be like, oh ooh, well, that was bad. All right, carry on, And so it's like nobody can really remember that time you said that and then we turned out. So.
But here's the thing though, with the facts coming out, there are certain people whose opinion carries a little bit more weight than others, and you're one of them. I mean, you were there. I mean, and we can go over because it's so amazing hearing Fox, because I watch them sometimes. I want to see what they're talking about, and they're trying to discount the accounts of people who were actually there. Yeah. The same police who they talk about, that they love and that Blue Lives Matter and always right and everything like that. There are accounts from police of exactly what happened, but now they're trying to discount those accounts to wait for what other facts. They don't want to listen to the January 6th committee. They don't want to listen to the police officers that were there. So whose facts are you waiting for?
So no, I got you. So I've thought about that too. I do try to think about other things. This was one of the most documented crimes in history. Like the people that were being arrested, they posted their evidence. They posted it. Like it was. You don't got to do no search warrant. It's like you click on Facebook or Twitter. It's right there.
Right there.
So they posted it. The thing is, they think that they were right. They think they were right, so it doesn't matter what facts come out. Like maybe I should preface this by saying I'm speaking to reasonable people. I'm speaking to reasonable people because that's all I'm dealing with right now. I'm not entertaining. If you have a disagreement with somebody or you see something, you say, "All right, is there anything I could say or do to get you to not change your mind, but accept another perspective about what happened? Is there anything I could say, do, show you?" And they say no. The conversation's over.
Right.
Like, I'm not. All right. Right. Yeah, you lost. I'm not gonna. You banging your head against this wall, and then you're expecting the wall to move. Yeah. It's not happening. So that's why I say I preface this with. So that's why when all the facts come out, because there are some people that say, "Well, did this really happen?" Or this? Okay, point out all the facts, and they'd be like, "This is what happened." Because hell. Think about this. We just learned a month ago that Fox News anchors were texting Trump as it was happening. We didn't know that on January 7th or 8th. We're still learning about imagine what's out there that we don't even know what we don't know yet.
Right. So what we're talking about, and if you can't say this, I can say this. But you're talking specifically, Sean Hannity's text was revealed by some of the January 6th Commission, and they showed specifically where Sean Hannity was texting the White House chief correspondent, and saying Trump needs to do something about this. He needs to make a statement. He needs to say something. But then he got back on Fox News and downplayed everything.
It was nothing. It was
nothing. It was all right. So that's what. And also, I'm saying that if you can't, I know
that's the facts. I mean, but that's not your opinion.
Right.
That's factual.
It's factual.
I don't mind talking about like facts. I mean, I try to keep my opinion to myself, man, because it's like I said earlier, it just is what it is. And like we're in the barbershop, we're in the court, we can talk about my opinion all the time.
Right.
But let's keep it a buck. And facts are facts, man.
So let's go back, because I want to go back and let's talk about, since you were there, you have all these people, like you said, Fox News talking about you and about, the police officers that were there, the Capitol Police and what have you. Were actually there. So January 6th, 2021, you were posted on the east front of the Capitol building. The east
initially,
front. And so you were on the steps leading up to the Senate chamber.
Yeah.
As the insurrectionists started to descend on the Capitol.
Real quick, though, they were there all day. So, and maybe this goes in any, but I started my 14th year in November that just passed. And I think it would be safe to say that in those 14 years, I responded to, oversaw, monitored close to 1,000 demonstrations. Like I said, these can be about anything, any topic, anything. People go out there and literally get a week permit to read the Bible, anything. I mean, like, you name it, they're out there. So I thought it was just going to be a First Amendment protest, which we've seen. Like, doesn't matter if I agree with it, whatever. If they would have come up, they have the right to do that, and I'm all for people's rights. Like, that's fine. That's your right to do it. But once that turns violent, and then like you throw a temper tantrum because an election didn't go your way, and that's when we have a problem. But they were out there all day long, and it was peaceful. Like it looked like remind me like a pep rally.
Right.
Out there with their flags and they're waving and singing songs and all that stuff. And then the violence from the west side, if you're familiar with DC, the mall, from down the White House, the Lincoln Memorial, Washington Monument, coming towards the Capitol, that's where the violence started coming from. They breached the first police line, and I heard a friend of mine on the radio scream out, "We need more help. We need units." And just like I heard the terror in that individual's voice, and I took off running and responded over there. And when I responded around to the west side of the building, it was as far as you can see, just people that appeared to be Trump supporters, that said they were Trump supporters. They had the flag. They said their words were, "President Trump sent us," and they were just there and saying that they're coming in and telling us that we were traitors. We broke our oath. We weren't real police officers. We weren't real patriots. We come stand with us. Like they were convinced that they were right, and nothing that we said and clearly that we did was going to stop them. So,
wow. So when you looked out on the crowd and you looked at them, you talked about the flags you saw.
Yeah.
You saw Trump flags, right? You saw Confederate flags. You saw Nazi flags.
The thin blue line flags.
Yes.
Like they had this "Don't Tread on Me" flag. It's a yellow flag with a snake wrapped around like a pole or something. I don't even understand I don't know what it means, but you see it at a lot of those type of rallies. And I think I'm not even going to go into whatever.
Right.
You see it a lot. One of the craziest things I saw, it was Rambo with Trump's face on it. And Rambo had like the machine gun. I was like,
yeah.
Like, it's crazy, man. Like, and USA flags, and it was just a mess, man. It was.
So you saw that. I saw where you were one of 4 officers who testified to the committee about what took place.
Yeah.
And you described the ugly racist taunts you were subjected to. Particularly from a lady in a pink MAGA shirt.
Yeah.
You don't have to walk through all the particulars of it with me, but they were hurling racial epithets at you like this was back in segregation time.
Yeah.
Like it was just freely just flowing from their lips with no hesitation. Like it was,
So
had you experienced? Is that something that you've experienced before as a police officer? Or was that?
I've never been called the N word as a police officer, at least to my face, not that I know of. I've never been called that. I've been called sellout before, like all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But never to my face. And what stands out though, like I'm a big dude. I'm 6'7", 350, right? I'm not no little. I used to play football. Like
Mm-hmm.
I know how to handle myself. I was
Right.
armed with an AR-15 that day, and I thankfully was not physically injured to the point where a lot of my coworkers were.
Mm.
I got sprayed in the face a couple times, shove here, shove there. But as far as like the beating and stuff, no, that didn't happen. And I think that they wanted to use words to hurt me. And because when you use the N word to somebody in a hurtful way, it's hurtful. I mean, you see people's reactions. Like I've seen, it's YouTube or Instagram. People call me the N word again, and people go night night for saying that.
Right.
Like,
Right.
It's.
But isn't that hurling it the way that they were hurling it at you? Isn't that, I'm not a lawyer, no, but isn't that in the realm of assault on a police officer? Like if you are
maybe I'm not even a lawyer. I don't know. Like I don't know the laws, the statutes with that, but I'm sure somebody could make that argument. Now that I see where you're going with that, and in the commission of a crime, like I mean, sure, I'm sure the elements are there. I'm sure the elements of it are there, but like I said, and even so that moment, no, I want to be clear. Like I wasn't the entire day. I wasn't getting run around everywhere I was. Like that was a 4 or 5 hour ordeal, and I wasn't getting called the N word for 4 or 5 hours. Like it was just one particular time. But talking to my coworkers, some of my black coworkers share with me their stories of them being called the N word. There was recently an EMT on, a female black woman who was a DC firefighter, paramedic. She was responding in to help people that were out, like that were knocked out, that needed medical attention. And they were calling her the N word as she was going to help them. Like,
wow.
So like, and I just saw that story about a week or two ago on NBC4. Wow. And it's crazy though. Like, so yeah, listening to other people talking to other officers, then I learned that I wasn't just the only one. It wasn't me. So, and when it happened, I didn't process it like, ouch, dang, because I'm exhausted. Like we throw like a fight like that whole day. You got the mask on, you can't breathe with all this pepper spray in the air, and it's just going on. And it was tough, man. So I didn't process it as an attack on me because of my skin color until after I was able to sit down. Finally, when I was able to have a breather, and I was talking with one of my boys, who happens to be a black guy, about what happened. And I was in tears, man, like crying, like, because I was so disappointed at, is this where we are as a country, man? Is this where we are, bro?
Right.
I mean, maybe I'm naive, maybe I'm gullible, maybe I'm too optimistic, but damn, man, like, I drink the Kool-Aid, man. I pray, I hope and pray for that togetherness, kumbaya moments. I live for that, man. Like, it really hurt me that this is where we are. I mean, and it is what it is. I know where we are, but it just sucks that we're not better than this, man. So.
I mean, one of the things so also in my book, Police Brutality and White Supremacy, the Fight Against American Traditions, I interviewed Jamel Hill, and we were talking about this, and she was really amazed at the fact that there were so many people there and they didn't have hoods on. They didn't have masks over their faces. They were just walking around like they were just the privilege of, there's nothing wrong with what I'm doing. I'm spraying police officers in the face. I'm hurling things. I'm breaking down barriers, going into doors, defecating all over the place, and I'm not even wearing a mask.
Let me ask you a question, though. Like, have you heard the term one person's terrorist is another person's freedom fighter.
Yes. Yes.
So that's how I viewed it. Those individuals, to me, were terrorists. If you look up the definition of domestic terrorist, that is to the T what was January 6th. Those individuals were emboldened, right? They were emboldened by who? The most powerful person in the United States. Period. So when you have that kind of not like the green light, like Coach said, yo, he got the green light. Pull that trigger. You got it, bro.
Right.
They had the green light. And what did you if you got that kind of green light from the most top, man, you couldn't tell me nothing, man.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So these people were emboldened, and that's why I think they were so dangerous, because they thought that they were right by the most powerful person in the country.
Right.
So, like, of course they did all that in the open because they thought they were proud to do it. They were proud. So that's the way you got to look at it. Like, that's why I think you got to get to the complete bottom of what happened, the behind the scenes, all this stuff to come out and hold the people, the planners, people financially, all the antagonists, even if you on Twitter and you say, yo, y'all should storm the Capitol, you need to be held accountable too. Anybody, man, anybody, because we cannot let that precedent that this is okay.
That's right. That's right. You know, it's interesting when you said that you know, in the descriptive words that were being used to describe them. And Draymond Green for Golden State Warriors actually said after the game when that was happening, everybody's watching it in real time. He addressed the media, and Draymond Green said, "Stop describing the Capitol invaders the same way you describe someone who just stands there and makes a chant saying, 'We want justice, we want peace.' Stop using the same word. It's disrespectful, and it's shameful to keep calling them protesters. They're terrorists." And I thought that was a really strong statement by him to make, because they were so reluctant to say that they were terrorists. They kept saying, you know, supporters, you know, of the elections, people who, all these different nice terms. And I was like, no, these are terrorists. Look what they're doing.
Spade, man. Call a spade, bro.
Goodness gracious, you know. And so when you've been doing a lot of different interviews, and I got to ask you this. I have to. The interviews have been great. I saw you sit down with Chris Hayes, MSNBC. There was great interviews on CNN. You know, I saw a couple of them. But there was one that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And I'm going to explain why. It was WUSA 9. I think that's who it was. Okay. So the interviewer asked you if you forgave the lady who called you the N-word.
Yeah.
And I was like, why would you ask him that? Like, it came at a level. I was like, why would you? Why? And the reason why it struck such a nerve with me, I do a lot of work with family members of police brutality. And so Eric Garner's daughter, Emerald, and, you know, Terrence Crutcher's sister, Tiffany, I could just go down the list. And that's always a question that the media asks one of them, you know, where somewhere they say, do you forgive? I was like, why do you always ask that? Like, what?
So if I can,
help me out. Yes,
I'll try to. So I have been big on mental health and healing and, you know, encouraging people to get help and so they can heal. You know, I'm sure people, they may disagree with it. But I do believe that sometimes getting over something, like I don't believe you just get over something. You learn how to live with it existing, like, and you know, I understand both sides when people say, you know, forgiveness is not for the other person, it's for you. I believe it, but I also understand the opposite in it. Like, I'm not going to give this end of forgiving doesn't mean I like them, that I'll ever talk to them, that we're not hanging out with, but that helps me get over it. Like, I'm not going to hold on to this my whole life. Hold on to it. It's going to exist. It's not going anywhere, but it's not going to consume me. It's not going to control my emotions. Not going to control my feeling, my reaction. Everything that I do isn't going to be, well, January 6th, 2021, this person called me the N-word. Like, I mean, yeah, I'll remember that it happened, but I'm not going to let it consume me. So no, I don't like her. I never will like her, but I got to move on from it. And maybe that's a better term than moving on from it than instead of forgive her. Like, I mean, forgiveness sounds very nice, I guess. And maybe, they weren't nice to me, but I had to work through it. I got to work through it because just to get. But I understand both sides of the coin. I get it when people say, "Nah, dog, never, never." Like I said, and my answer was, "I'm not there yet. I'm not, mate, and I'm still not. I'm still not. But I hope to be."
So this is my issue with it though, because it always seems to be asked of us. When I say us, I mean Black people, and so whether you're a Black Capitol Police officer or a Black family member of a victim of police brutality, the media always wants to put them on the spot and say, "Do you forgive?"
Are we expecting to be a bigger person?
Right, but I have seen countless September 11th vigils. I've never once seen any media person ask any family member if they forgive for the events that happened in September 11th.
I've never thought about that. I've never thought about
You got to think. So if you're going to keep asking us that,
I understand.
You're going to have to, what I mean? But I've never seen that. And that's why when, the reporter asked you that, I was like, I tensed up. I was like, there they go again. It's like
I've never thought about that. But now, I mean, you're right, though. I get it. I get it. But
it's tough. So you mentioned a big proponent of therapy, and you mentioned it also in your op-ed. It was a great op-ed. It was powerful. It was honest, and it was something that I think needed to be heard. The op-ed it's in the Washington Post. So please, everybody listening, go look it up. It's the government we defended last January 6th has a duty to hold all perpetrators accountable. And I just want to read a little bit of it because you opened up and it was so, the words were just, sometimes when you read something and the words like come off the page, like that's how this was. It said, the calendar says it happened a year ago, but it feels like yesterday because for the two of us, U.S. Capitol Police officers who together with many other officers defended the Capitol on January 6, 2021 from a violent mob of insurrectionists, the wounds from that horrific day persist. One of us sustained considerable physical injuries requiring multiple surgeries and prolonged rehabilitation treatment. The other was victimized by pepper spray and tear gas and remained sickened by the vile racist slurs hurled at him by those who invaded the sanctity of the Capitol building. Both of us continue to experience post-traumatic stress, anxiety, and depression. That was really honest of you to open up about. And one of the reasons why I really want to applaud you with this is, there are a lot of people suffering in silence. In all walks of life. There's NBA players dealing with depression, suffering in silence. There's kids in elementary school, middle school, high school suffering in silence. And the fact that you had the courage to be able to be honest about the traumatic stress, anxiety, and depression that you're all feeling about this. I want to just say kudos to you first of all for that. But take me through that a little bit, because people need to really understand the difficult path of you having to go back to work.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of put all that and you have to do a job. Like, talk to me about that.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things, but I want to go back real quick to the suffering in silence thing. Like, let's ask the question, why do people suffer in silence? Why? All right. So I think it's because, plain and simple, you're afraid of being judged. You show weakness or stuff. So is there anything else that somebody can say? What else can somebody say to break the stigma of mental health? There's nothing new. There's no new words. There's no new phrases. Everything has been said before. Now you just need to saturate the market with whatever, the environment, the community with those words. It is okay. Like when you show people that it's okay to be vulnerable and, oh wait, you hurting too? Damn, me too, yo. So like when more people are open and honest, that's the thing. There's no new words. There's no new message about mental health. Everything that people suffer because they're scared of being judged. Everybody needs to flood that message, and everybody needs to get on the side of, yo, it's okay to get help. I don't care. Like I think that's one thing that helps me so much. My authenticity. I don't care. Like, say what you want about me. You ain't gonna hurt my feelings, bro. Like, you can't insult me.
Right.
Whatever, man. You're not gonna hurt me, bro. I'm gonna help myself, and you're gonna be miserable running your mouth for judging me about whatever because I'm weak. I'm weak. Square up, then. How about that? Like,
right.
You know, you know, I just think that there's nothing new to say. I just think it keeps on needing to be said about the mental health aspect. But as far as going into my job, man, like, you know, I was raised well. My parents, you know, I got great parents. Maybe it's being in sports that maybe helped me understand the something bigger than yourself kind of thing. But that's how I look at it. Like, sure, there may be some members in Congress that I don't agree with. And I guess that's the best way for me to put it. You know, some people that I don't agree with. But their seat that they represent makes up part of democracy. And you can't pick and choose what parts of democracy you want. And I think that's what makes America what it is. A lot of different views, and everybody's allowed to have their views and have their views brought to the table. So that's the way I'm protecting a seat, which represents maybe 1 million people in some cities. They represent 1 million people. So I don't look at that one person. I look at like, all right, I'm defending this seat, and that's what's important. So it's bigger than myself, and I take pride in it because I do my job right. I do it thoroughly. I do it right, and nobody can say anything about the way that I do my job because I do it for the right reasons. I do it pridefully, and that's the way I view it. Like, this is bigger than me, and sometimes I get to the point where, like, dang, dude, is this talking out even worth it? People hating on me, people threatening me. You know, they talking. Like, is it even worth it? And then I'll hear somebody say, "Yo, I really appreciate what you're doing. Keep it up." Like, but that's the point. That just makes it worth it, man. Because again, it's bigger than me. Like I said, that's sports. Like, I was an offensive lineman, man. Offensive linemen don't get no credit. They do all the dirty work. They do all the dirty work, and the running back runs in the end zone. They do all the work, man. So I'm used to doing something for the greater good, you know. So you know, I'm not deterred because, like I said, I'm standing up for what I believe in is right. Like, and I just wish I was just telling somebody I was talking with one of my friends and people were saying, you know, Harry's just doing all this talking out. And one of the guys said, look, right, wrong, or indifferent, Harry's standing up for what he believes in. And I wish more people did. And you know what? That was the best compliment more than I support you. Stand up for what you believe in. You know why? Because not many people do it at all. You know, I would rather hear, yo, I'm glad for you standing up for what you believe in, more so than, hey, buddy, I support you. Like, but more people need to stand up for what they believe in. And I'll always do that because I'm going to look at myself in the mirror and be like, dang, yo, you a sellout, or you should have did this, you should have did that.
Right.
I'm comfortable with myself, man, and I'm okay with that.
So have you gotten a lot of backlash? I mean, when you was on the talking to the January 6th committee, you made the reference of saying of a hitman. You talked about when a hitman is hired and he kills somebody, that man goes to jail, but also the person who hired him goes to jail. And that I thought that was a great analogy.
Thanks,
honestly, I thought it was absolutely perfect. What has been the response of many people on the right from that statement alone?
You know, I try to focus on the positive stuff, especially because, like I said earlier, I'll talk to anybody regarding facts. You know, I'm not going to talk about your opinion or not. Tucker Carlson called me an angry left-wing
Yeah.
Name activist or something like that. And then I had to think about it because I was, well, you're right. I am angry. I am angry. I got one of my coworkers killed. We got attacked. Democracy was attacked. I'm angry. You're right. Left wing. I typically vote Democrat, so I guess that's pretty accurate. And activists, standing up for what you believe in and seeking accountability for things that are wrong. Okay, I'll be that. That's fine, bro. I'll be all those things, So that goes back to me just standing up for what I believe in. But as far as the a lot of people, like I said, I've got a lot of support, but it hasn't all been good. That's think about it, like if one person, 10 people say, yo, this joke, 9 people say, yo, he had a great game, and one person's like, oh, it was okay. And you're gonna go focus right on that one person and be like, what you mean it was okay, bro? Like,
yeah,
those other 9, they go out the window. But that's just human nature. Like we self-sabotage ourselves, man. Like I'm not focusing on them, dude, man.
And I hear you, and that's big of you. But it's the level of hypocrisy that we see from the right, and from, you mentioned Tucker Carlson, the John Hannity, Laura Ingraham, we can go down the list, Bill O'Reilly, and they're always so, back the blue. They're always so waving the flag, police matter, everything like that. But now is their chance.
Those people you just named, they're very smart people, right? I think they're very smart. They didn't get to where they are without being smart. And if manipulation is a part of being smart too, a lot of people manipulate for their own good, and that's what they're doing. So, I mean, my pride, my conscience, it won't allow me to do that. But some people just do whatever they do, just power, recognition, whatever, man. Like that's what I'm saying. Like that's what. I reached out to them. I reached out to Fox and asked.
I was going to ask you that.
I did. I reached out. My lawyer did also. And we were happy to come down on your show.
And none of them have invited you on the show? None of them? None of them. That is amazing to me.
Yeah.
That's so amazing. They talk.
I talked to Michael Fanone is the police officer who he testified before Congress. Also, he quit the Metropolitan Police Department. He is now a contributor for CNN or an analyst or something. And people couldn't wait to, like, there's literally footage of him being dragged out and tased and almost beaten to death.
Right.
There's video of it. People are saying that it's fake and that he's a crisis actor. Like, if people can agree, that's what I'm saying. If people can't acknowledge that, a tape of an incident happening, then what's the point of even attempting to have conversations with those people? What is the point? What's the point? Because all you're going to do is you're going to work yourself up. You're going to get mad. And then what?
That's true.
Then what? Like, I try to be solutions driven, right? Solutions based. Like, all right, this is an issue. All right, how do we fix it? Well, there's nothing that I could say. Then I'll talk to the people who want to listen then. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like,
So no, I can't even imagine how frustrating it is for you. I mean, and just to hear them describe what you lived through and try to whitewash it, try to just, like I heard you say in one interview, just flat out lie.
Flat out lying.
Just lie.
Well, whitewash is a nice way to put it.
Right. They just lying.
They're lying.
Yes.
They're lying. Yeah. So and one thing that really bothered me, man, the governor of Florida,
DeSantis.
He said that, oh man, this is like Christmas for the Democrats.
Yeah, I heard him say that. Yeah, but they all were saying that.
I'm just saying, Christmas, January 6th is like Christmas.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Like, bruh.
Yeah, yeah.
It's terrible, man. Like,
that's amazing. And imagine,
I'm sure Mrs. Sicknick wouldn't call Christmas January 6th when she lost her son.
Right.
Christmas,
Right. And to just see, I mean, we don't have to keep talking about their hypocrisy. It's very telling. It's very telling, but it's still amazing to me. You know what I mean? The level that it is. So let me just ask you, and we could, wrap up. I really appreciate you.
No, man, I appreciate you having me on, man. This is dope.
What do you want to see from the January 6th Commission.
So
Go ahead.
No. So
No, that was really the setup. What do you want to see from them?
And like I said, a lot of people, I view things differently, and I try to have a different temperament, and like lock them all up. Come on, okay, let's like we acknowledge. I think you spoke on this also. The criminal justice system needs to be reformed. However, I have a problem with being a hypocrite, like we just talked about hypocrites. So the laws that are on the books, until they change, they need to be enforced. And there are laws against what happened on January 6th. And they need to be enforced. Do a thorough investigation. And like I said, the title of my op-ed, they have a duty to, hold the people accountable. Like, not only am I a Capitol Police officer, I'm an American citizen and I vote. So Congress, y'all work for me too. Like I can say that. I'm a voter. I'm not just some hired help. Nah, man, I can vote. And they have a duty to get to the bottom of it. And I think that they will, not only because the people on that committee are champions for justice, right? Not only that, they were also victims that day. They were in the building. They were the people that the rioters, the terrorists, the mobsters were coming for. Those are the individuals. So they have a personal stake in it also. So I believe that they'll get to it. I just want transparency about what happened. And then once the full truth is known, like I said at the beginning of the show, any and everybody who had anything to do with the failures of that day needs to take responsibility and be held accountable by not just the American public, by the criminal justice system.
And I agree 100%. One of my issues here, though, is there are people who are not cooperating. And I don't see how that's being allowed.
Hold on. Wait.
I don't see how it's allowed.
Three people. They've interviewed 345 people. I think that was the number.
Something like that.
Three jokers?
Yeah.
Three jokers? We're making a big deal out of it because we know their names.
Yeah, we know their names.
We know their names. 345 people have cooperated.
Okay.
So they voted to hold 2 in contempt. And we'll see what happens with that with the Justice Department. That's a separate branch. That's a separate but equal branches of government,
Okay.
But I hope that maybe that's just me being optimistic.
Okay.
But they need to. So I'm practicing extreme patience right now. Like everybody was talking about January 6th anniversary.
Right.
My anniversary of January 6th will be the day that justice is served and the people responsible are held accountable. That'll be my anniversary for January 6th.
Got you. And I, for me personally, I would like to, and I always, incorporate this into everything. I would like to continue to see people use their platforms to speak on this. Now, of course, I'm mostly dealing with athletes because that's my realm. So, of course, I want to encourage all athletes to continue to speak out, continue to, athletes have podcasts on there. You could go on their podcasts and talk about different things. Use to inform people about what's going on and using their positions and their platforms.
I'd be willing to talk to, like I said, anybody, man. Like anybody want to listen, anybody want to have a conversation, I'm more than willing to. And that's the thing. I try to stay away from my opinion. Like I said again, I'm not, because like I said, what makes my opinion, I can speak about my factual account of what happened on January 6th. You can't debate that with me. You can debate all kinds of opinions. So that's why I try to stay away from it. So let's talk about facts. Don't ask me, well, what about? I call it like whataboutisms. Yeah. It's deflections. They're deflections.
Right.
Don't deflect. Let's talk about. So, okay, so they say, well, what about the riots in Wisconsin? I mean, in Portland? Or okay, what about them? So are you, by me acknowledging that the riots in Portland were horrible and bad, and those officers who defended their communities, if I acknowledge them as brave heroes, will you do the same about the people on January 6th? Or are you just saying that to deflect?
That's all. That's deflection.
So okay, yes, you're right. What about Portland? Portland was bad.
Right.
The violence, the destruction, it was bad.
Right.
Period.
Right.
Will you say the same thing about January 6th?
Yeah.
No.
And that's the problem.
And that's the problem.
Definitely agree. Well, look, let me just say, I've taken up enough of your time. Much respect to you.
I would say I'm always gonna pour up another one, man.
Well, I appreciate you. We've been talking for an hour, so you know what I mean. I definitely, appreciate that you being so open about everything, open about your feelings, open and and brave to be able to stand up and say the things that you're saying, because not all the officers are doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And you don't have to even respond to that, but I'm saying
I will though, because I don't think it's necessarily entirely fair to just say like, hey, they're not speaking out. Like, so 4 people there are reasons why people don't speak out, and I'm like I said, if they're wrong and if they're sympathizers, then fuck them. If I can put it bluntly, if they're sympathizers for it, but just because somebody is not speaking out doesn't mean they're like complicit or anything. Like, there's a lot of negative that's come with this, like this speaking out. Like, I get threats, like people like coming at me, like people like in the community, like in the law enforcement community, calling me a fake cop and all this stuff, and like I sold out my brothers in blue. What? So I'm just saying it isn't all positive. So people say I'm getting paid. I mean, I ain't got a dime from none of this stuff. A dime. I'm not looking for one either. I'm looking for the truth. I got a job. I'm looking for truth and accountability. And but to those police officers, a lot of them have come to me, said that they support me. Hey, keep doing what you're doing. Hey, can I tell you something? Next time you go on your show, you mind telling this story for me? Absolutely. So.
Well, let me just say that you're very modest, and I respect that. I respect that. But there is a reason why people refer to Muhammad Ali in certain terms, because he had the courage to be able to speak out. Now, of course, a whole lot of other people were seeing the same things that he was seeing, but they weren't speaking out the way that he was. So that's
what beat their ass too. So
and so likewise, you are able and have the courage, to do what you're doing and to speak out the way that you are speaking out, and to take on that burden of all of the different, people attacking you from every direction, not just the right, but even within police departments, of saying, that maybe that they don't want you to say some of the things that you're saying, or call out some of the people that you're calling out. And I'm sure when you testified, in front of the committee, that there was strong reactions from that. So I will say much respect to you for having the courage to be able to do that. So
thank you, brother.
Definitely. So again, thanks for coming on the show. Stay safe out there. I appreciate you. And, hope to talk to you again.
I hope we run into you sometime, man.
That's what's up.
All right, bro. I appreciate you, man.
Bless.
All right, now.